Is that Mike?
It is.
Hi.
Yes, Jeremy.
Yeah. You well?
I am indeed. Are we talking on the Magic Radio at this moment?
We certainly are.
I tell you what, I'm worked up. I am really worked up. I just could not believe that yesterday Albo, so-called PM, comes out and says, we're going to carve out some of the ridiculous taxation legislation that they revealed last week. It just astonishes me how this guy can hide behind weasel words.
It's spin.
Oh, spin.
Yeah.
It's set a new world record for spin as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
A carve-out. Let's have a carve-out.
Well, I was saying earlier, the Treasurer talks about reform at every opportunity as he roams around the country today trying to sell his modifications to the pack of lies that gave us this year's budget. And he keeps on referring to reform. You know, it's not easy to reform. What is reforming about these changes, which are a blatant lie and going back on an election promise?
I reckon 90% of the population can't be wrong, because that's, I reckon, is what the figures would be at the moment of people believing anything that he says.
Yep.
And then to say, oh, well, we revealed this and then we're going to have community engagement on it. Look, I've worked in community engagement on major, multi-million-dollar projects like the Northern Expressway, the Southern Expressway, Adelaide Hills Tunnels. I've worked on a lot of road projects and mining projects where you actually do engage with the community. You have to have formal sit-downs. You have to take the heat sometimes, and you've got to modify your plan. And in fact, we always called these things, there was never a plan for, let's say, the Northern Expressway. There was a scheme. It was a scheme until you got agreement.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. That sounds democratic, reasonable, responsible.
Yeah. So, at the moment, I just think this is no way to run a country. You can't announce and then defend.
That's the thing. Announce and defend. And he's running around the country doing that at this very moment, telling us how lucky we are. You ain't never had it so good, I can hear him saying.
Yeah, sure, that's BS.
Yes.
But look, I just find it astonishing, and I went out on my Facebook last night and said, how can you describe, a backflip as a carve-out? And this is the Prime Minister hiding behind words. Carve-out is a back down, and I just feel that more and more we're seeing just what a machine is the ALP, and that really the ALP is a coalition. It's a coalition of unions and elected members of parliament who fly under the banner of the ALP. But, in the background, there are unelected power brokers.
Yeah, you remember
pushing the buttons.
You remember in the old days, there were the 12 faceless men who ran the Labor Party, and the Prime Minister would sit out in the hall, and then when the 12 faceless men had decided what the policy on this, that, and the other thing was going to be, they would call in the Prime Minister, and they would hand him his riding instructions. Now, this is a little bit different, but it's the same. And really, what do we expect? Because the Labor Party is owned by the trade union movement.
Correct. It's a duality party.
Yeah.
And the trouble is, people that vote Labor, they get both. But one of them is one of the two legs of this operation. People like the CFMEU, for God's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't you love the way the government from time to time has a inquiry into this CFMEU? They appoint somebody to look into it and straighten it out. nothing ever happens. And then they pretend that they didn't know that the crime and corruption was going on.
Of course not.
They
of course not.
They don't know that the old Waterside Workers' Union used to stand people up against the wall and extort money.
Yes, yeah. And hold ships.
Yeah.
And look, Jeremy, I worked for the Advertiser as a young journalist in Whyalla, 1973, 74, and then again in 76. And that's when we actually had a shipyard and made big ships in Whyalla.
Indeed.
And I would watch them coming to fruition, and then the BHP, the shipyard owner, would send out invitations. I'd get one of these invitations, lovely card saying, on the 13th of July or something, the SS whatever Whyalla ship number 23 was going to be launched, and so you'd all be ready. And then 48 hours before, the union back then, which was the a blockage here, but the Waterside Workers and the ship's painters and dockers. The painters and dockers, remember them?
Yeah.
Oh, my
you
God.
wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of that crowd.
Right.
Mate, they would send black hands to people in the post. And I know one of the union guys up in Whyalla, he got a black hand. And that came from Melbourne. It was like, do as we say, or you will get rubbed out. Anyway, you'd get the ship's painters and dockers saying, oh, no, we think we need extra time for this or extra money for that. And of course, up in Whyalla, because you're at the top of the peninsula, the tides were absolutely required to be high to launch the ship. So you had the company and the owners of this ship who spent years having it developed would be sitting there having to agree to the ship's painters and dockers and their demands, because you could not launch the boat on any other day, and you'd have to wait probably a month to do it again when the tides were right. So, I saw this stuff happening, and and now, of course, what happened? No shipyard, closed down.
And the union has done a good job for its workers, have they?
Yeah.
They have the best condition and the best conditions and the best salary, except we just don't have an industry anymore. Sorry, fellas. Sorry.
Yeah. And look, I heard your earlier caller talking about the Collins class submarine. We do have a facility that builds these things, and it has to be redeveloped. And full marks to all governments that are working on it. But it's like I said, I was worked up last night and yesterday.
I don't blame you. I just don't understand how a country could have 1 year ago re-elected this crowd and with an increased majority, 94 seats I think they've got in Parliament.
It astonishes me, but honestly, I think people are getting wound up at the moment, and as with Pauline Hanson, hey, there's a rationale here, and there's likely to be some form of coalition of those willing to stop Labor from getting back in.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter if it was a marriage of convenience or whatever, but Pauline said at this very table that she didn't want an official coalition, but that doesn't mean to say that they can't work together. In fact, I think she said that she would be prepared to guarantee supply and confidence.
She did.
She did.
Yep.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah.
Do you remember, Mike? Do you remember Chris Corrigan?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
We used to talk to Chris Corrigan at the old 5DN when he was in the middle of this terrible strike that Patrick's.
Stevedoring.
Yep. The lockout and the absolute thuggery that went on. I don't know if at some point somebody could have called in the army and straightened the whole thing out, but he told me amazing stories that the union insisted that he prepare pay packets for people that not only didn't come to work, but didn't even exist.
Oh, good Lord.
And those pay packets, he called them ghosts.
There was a lot of that on the docks.
Yeah, so he had to pay the union all of these salaries for people who didn't even exist. And if he didn't do that, they would call the ship or the dock or whatever black, and then nothing would move. And he called their bluff. He called their bluff and locked them out.
Yes,
I remember.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I can give you an actual instance of the Melbourne docks, and this was probably about 8 to 10 years ago. A friend of mine, John, imported a yacht from the United States after one of the big storms in Florida. You know, the insurance companies will write off only a slightly damaged yacht. So he went online on eBay and he bought a Beneteau, which is a yacht, a 33 footer. And I helped him with the transshipping. It came via New Zealand. Anyway, by the time it arrived at the docks in Melbourne, he got the phone call saying, "Yep, it's here. Your boat is here. We've just unloaded it." So he went there and was told, well, you need to take this. Well, he knew he had to take that boat to be inspected to make sure whether it had any bugs or whatever or seawater in it to a government facility. And so it was due to be loaded onto a flat top truck. And all over the docks there, they have these gigantic forklifts, and this thing only weighed about 2 tons, 3 tons. And he was informed that, no, this was too heavy, mate. We'll need to use a crane for this. And guess what? Using their crane on the dock, $1,000. And he had nowhere to go. He had to go driving to several holes in the wall and go in the bank and got $1,000, came back. This is cash, mind you. Yeah. And this happened on the docks in Melbourne.
Broad daylight.
So, yeah, absolutely right. So they loaded it up with this thing, put it on the flat top. John followed the flat top truck to the government station for inspection, which was a couple of kilometres away. And guess what they did there? They took it off with a small forklift. And he was $1,000 down, and
doesn't surprise me.
It was absolute blackmail, and it was happening on the docks.
Well, we have to stand up against thuggery and Al Capone and whoever is behind it, the mafia or a political party. You just can't knuckle under to that sort of thing. I don't know. You remember the what was it? The ABCC. This was the cop on the beat for the building industry.
That's right, Building and Construction
Commission or whatever.
Yeah,
and they were responsible for cleaning up what the old Builders Labourers Federation, and now, of course, the CFMEU, were doing in building sites around the country. And the first thing this lot did was to get rid of the cop on the beat. Now, I wonder why they did that.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. And nobody goes to jail. Nobody goes to jail. They get re-elected. I'm
glad I called in because I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm not so worked up. There you go.
Well, you relax there, boy.
Well, look, I'll tell you a lovely little story that happened to me yesterday. In between looking after grandbabies and whatever, I went to Foodland at Ross Trevor. And so I picked up the usual veg, you name it. And as I was leaving, as I went to the cash out, there was a young lad and scanning things. And I said, oh, here's my Romeo's card. Yep, scan that. And also I said, I've got an old guy's card here, a senior's card, right? And Foodland now gives you a percentage off every day of the week. It used to be just Thursdays, like a pensioner day. Now it's every day of the week. Romeo's do this. So you got your senior's card. So I said, I've got my old guy's card here. And the mature woman alongside at the next cash out, she said, no, she said, I call that the Legends card.
Ah, lovely.
Oh, honestly, that I said to the young guy, I said, this lady here, you could learn something from her. She knows how to talk to the public and make you feel fantastic. I said, love, Legends card, I'm going to talk about that. So now I'm talking about it. It's out there. You know, the seniors card, it's a Legends card. And that made my day.
You have a great weekend, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Wonderful to talk to. What a grandfather.
See you, Tony.
What a grandfather he is.